Werfel Luxuriate Hour.
Hey, this is me, Jane, and we're back on the Werfel Luxuriate Hour, and it gives me immense pleasure to introduce my guest for tonight. I've spent enough time with the Werfel team and her in her office, which is one of the most beautiful green spaces that I have seen. Werfel team, can I get a big shout out from you guys?
Hello!
Every single week, I meet a new architect, and Dimple Mittal is the director and design principal of Maya Praxis since its inception in 2001. Out of the box but very balanced design approach, extremely technically driven, creative in design, inspired to think critically and in detail. Her leadership has won recognition in critical journals, other publications, as well as several awards at a national level. Well, some of the prestigious awards that Dimple has received are the Young Enthused Architect of the Year 2007 and Architect of the Year Award in 2011. But let me tell you, this is not in her bio from, my perspective in 2020. I think you're super enthusiastic, extremely hardworking, and really fun to be around. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jane, and I think love to be part of your show.
I'm super excited to be at your office and the design story of this building. Let's start with that and talk about your overall design story, because there's something just so beautifully organic about what you do.
So, this office, what you see, which has been now, I think 7 years we built back, and then what you see here is completely all natural materials used, and the idea here is how beauty comes out of natural materials. We have exposed brick, exposed concrete, wood, glass, and how it all comes together. We have no plaster, no paint in this building, and the idea is how to use less to bring the best out of these.
Right. It's kind of like a minimalistic approach. Growing up, I watched this movie by Mani Ratnam called Alayapayude, and I saw that this exposed brick concept can actually be super romantic. It's just that we got to embrace it. There's a really romantic song, and I saw this building and I remember that song, and I think the romance of being real, do you see that in your design story?
I think there is a lot of warmth in things being natural. And that's what brings that romance, because it's just how you are, what you are. So if one can sense that in space, it brings you that feeling of just, being romantic or pleasure or happiness. It just brings it.
Absolutely. I actually walked into the space and there's that good vibe. I guess when it's natural, when it's as organic as possible, you feel like this is how it is. Is this your design story across your work? Like when you are doing buildings for others, homes, offices, is this what your design story overall is?
So we try our best to use natural materials, but every client does not want this exposed brick. So I think every client has a certain thing what they're looking for in their home. We have to understand the client and see what works best for them. Your sense.
I think it's just about seeing a space like this, absorbing it, and then understanding that that's what you need. I am really having a good time with Dimple Mittal on the Werfel Luxuriate Hour, brought to you by Werfel Living in Banaswari. Check them out on werfel.in. But Dimple, the Werfel Luxuriate Hour, every architect I've met up until now, and I met quite a few of them, has a different interpretation of luxury. The minute I walked into your building, I kind of can soak in the feeling without maybe the right words. But like Huda from the Werfel team said, it's all about the ceilings and high ceilings in this building at least, and the fact that you've used natural materials. According to you, what is luxury for you?
I would say luxury to me is about happiness and contentment, which you get from a beautiful architectural space. And it's like where maybe the beautiful light comes in, you have the right ventilation, and you have the right materials. And for us, I think natural materials is what brings a lot of energy and good vibe into the space and makes the space really luxurious. And luxury is very contextual, I think, for somebody who has less money, 10 lakhs is luxury. And for somebody who has a lot of money, maybe a crore is not luxury. So I think it's not about money. When we are designing a house, it might be a 30-40 in city of Bangalore or maybe a 25,000 square feet house. I'm always telling my team that what is that space where I would like to have a cup of tea or a coffee in the morning and start my beautiful day, or where after having a hard day at work, just come and, rest and relax. And that is what we want to create in these homes. And if you get that right, that's luxury, and that can be created in many ways. So I think, and it's also not about, the sense of luxury only in home. Today, I think we are thinking that you would enjoy the luxury at home if you are in a beautiful city. The city experience also counts in giving that luxurious feel. If I'm in Paris, I will feel more luxurious. I think now we are attempting to make our city that more beautiful.
It's basically a feeling, an emotion, a space, a city, an entire vibe, right? As far as what you're saying.
It's not about how it looks. It's about how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And that feeling comes from a very collective experience of the day.
That's amazing. I've never heard this sort of an answer on this question, and I really like it. If you had to tell me about one space in your life that you visited, maybe you've made it or you've visited it, but really resounded with your definition of luxury, what would that space be?
I think, I don't know, for some reason, I would not say luxurious, but for some reason that feeling and vibe I find in temples like Helibid and Belur temples, which I would like to go back and keep visiting. It's just, I think those, maybe the hard work which those craftsmen put in, and you can feel that energy in that stone there done by craftsmen, and that's luxury for me, which I just love being in that space.
Which means a lot of sculpture and handwork art that's landing in many of your spaces, right?
Yes, I think, let's say, if you really think a mason builds the building, he is putting in that work, making brick by brick.
On the Waffle Luxuriate Hour, it's always about giving you the right idea for building your first home or second home that's super exclusive. And Dimple, you've been doing this for so many years. How many decades now in this industry?
It's more than 25 years experience.
Ooh, nice. And that means you definitely know when you say that somebody wants to make an exclusive home, there must be like a 5-point guide or something that you have like in your head, which you want to shout out to people listening in right now.
So, home is for a family. So I would say that, share with your architect the needs, the desires, the aspirations of your family, how it comes together and how overall you want your home to be. And then, architect is the designer who would let him curate the space and design for you. But I think what's important from an architect is to find that soul of your house, which resonates with the soul of the family members. And I would say work with your architect to get that soul of your house where
Can
you see
you
it connected.
give us an example? Like, for example, like a family that has 4 members and everyone has a different sort of a vibe. Maybe the mother's into reading, the father's into, engineering, the son is into automobiles, and the daughter's into music. I'm just giving you an example. Like different people in the family. How then do you kind of create the soul of the house that matches the personality of the people?
Yeah, so I think it is in our house we do have collective spaces, and we have our private spaces. You have to understand the whole chemistry of the family, and then do create spaces which kind of work for them. And sometimes it is for different clients. Sometimes you have to make that flexible space which kind of comes around and works for different people. Sometimes people are rigid and they want their space. I have had in some discussions, fight with husband and wife happening right in front of me. But as an architect, I have to make them come together, so it's not just designing, it's also doing little counseling while talking to them.
So the man is like, I know a whole bunch of my friends, the guy is like, I want a man cave, the woman is like, I want a woman's space, and the kids want their own space. So you have to kind of make sure that there's a commonality of soul, and then so how do you then decide something like that?
No, so I think they are a family. So it's not that, there is no common ground there. So you just have to find that common ground which connects them and make them a family, but still give them those individual requirements and spaces and what they love about doing in their home.
What's the most soulful space according to you in these 25 years that you've created? And you're like, wow, I just feel blissful just having done that.
I think it's my office space. I just love being here.
And I knew this would be your answer. Adding soul to your home. That's the main takeaway from this bit of the conversation. This is Dimple Mittal, who's on my show today along with the Whirlpool team. Whirlpool team, hello! Hi! They're the most enthusiastic bunch of people who record like very interesting videos of these architects and their offices. But thanks to them, I get to see some of the most beautiful offices and homes in Bangalore. And this office that I'm at right now, is just so green. It's one of the most different offices that I've seen. It's clean, it's simple, it's just quite brilliant, really. And on the show tonight, Dimple Mittal is going to talk about how she's been part of Maya Praxis and has designed the most soulful sort of an office, but also she's going to leave us with this final thought, because this is the Whirlpool Luxuriate Hour, and as an architect who's been in the industry for 25 plus years, a brand like Whirlpool, what's your opinion on a brand like this that wants to revolutionize Indian homes by providing homeowners with the perfect European home interiors and kitchens? What's your thought on this sort of an ideology or a brand?
So I've been collaborating with Whirlpool for a few years now, and I must say, for one reason I work with Whirlpool is because they are striving to give that world-class quality, but it's made in India. And most of the kitchens, what we've done with them, I have sold on that point to work with them. So, and it's in developed countries, design is like, picking out of catalog. But in our country, we have the rich craftsmanship, but the latest technology available with all the machines. So it's about, working it out to the last detail and making it work for different clients, which Whirlpool does well. I've worked with many teams from Whirlpool, and every time they have given me a really good solution. So yes, it's been a good journey to work with them in last few years for some of the kitchens we have done with them. And kitchen is the heart and soul of the house where the lovely food is prepared. And Indian cooking is messier and fun. We want the right kitchen to happen, because finally, what that luxurious space you're enjoying is out of all the food you're enjoying at home. So kitchen is quite an important space, and Whirlpool does quite a good job of it. So yes, Whirlpool has been a very good brand, and I think they're now moving into some furniture and everything. So good luck to them on that, and hopefully they will do a good job of that as well.
That's fantastic. Of course, expanding their horizons into all the rooms of the house. Just like you've made these, beautiful spaces in your office. I'm sure that is exactly what they bring in. But that whole made in India, that is what is something that really entices you, right?
Yes.
That's amazing. Thanks so much for joining us. Your final shout out to Bangalore on the Whirlpool Luxuriate Hour. It's been like such a pleasure catching up with you, because you're such a enthusiastic live wire of a person. So what's your shout out to everyone in general, your life motto, your design motto? What would you like to leave us with?
I think enjoy what you have. Find happiness in little joys of life. And I think today's need of the hour is reduce, reuse, and recycle to make a sustainable living.
Fantastic. More on the other side, a new architect on my show every single week on the Whirlpool Luxuriate Hour. Check them out on whirlpool.in or visit their massive showroom, the Whirlpool Living Showroom at Banaswadi. More in just a bit. Keep it locked to me, Jen.